Sirens cried across the quiet dawn of Manhattan, echoing between the silver towers like whispers of fate. In a top-floor hospital room, a fragile little girl named Sophie Langford lay beneath white sheets, her tiny hands clutching a pink teddy bear. Machines beeped beside her, each sound a reminder that time was slipping away. Her father, Richard Langford, one of the city's most powerful architects, stood by the window, watching the skyline he had built. The same skyline that now seemed to mock him. He had everything: money, fame, influence, except the one thing that mattered most. The doctor's words still rang in his head. 3 days. That's all she has. If you believe kindness can still change destinies, if you believe miracles can be born from the unlikeliest souls, stay with us till the end. Because what happened next will remind you that the richest hearts sometimes beat in the poorest hands. Richard had already spent millions searching for hope. Specialists from Germany, treatments from Japan, miracle drugs from Switzerland. Nothing worked. Sophie's rare immune disorder had reached a point beyond medicine. On the morning of the third day, Richard couldn't bear it anymore. He stepped out of that cold, sterile room and wandered into the city, broken suit, loosened tie, and an emptiness no money could fill. And that's when he saw them. A barefoot boy stood in the street, clothes torn and dusty, pushing a little girl in a wheelchair. Her hair was golden, her smile faint. She looked so much like Sophie that Richard froze. The boy laughed, making her giggle, completely unaware of the honking cars around them. When a taxi screeched nearby, Richard dashed forward and pulled them to safety. The boy looked up at him, calm, fearless, and kind, as if he had lived through storms and learned how to smile anyway. His name was Noah. He had no home, no family, no possessions. Yet everyone in the neighborhood knew him. He didn't beg. He helped, pushing old wheelchairs, carrying groceries, singing in subways for a few coins. The woman with them, Grace, ran a small shelter nearby. She explained that the little girl with Noah, also named Sophie, had been found crying outside the hospital weeks ago. Noah had brought her in, fed her, and given her hope when everyone else had given up. That night, Richard couldn't sleep. He kept replaying Noah's words in his mind. Sometimes you just need someone to believe you'll get better. The next morning, Richard did something no one expected. He brought Noah to meet his daughter. Doctors protested. Nurses frowned. But Richard insisted. Inside that quiet room, Noah walked up to Sophie with a wilted flower in his hand. "Hi," he said softly. "I know a girl who smiles even when it hurts. You should try it. It scares the sickness away." And for the first time in days, Sophie smiled. From that moment, everything began to change. Noah visited her every morning, barefoot, cheerful, carrying little treasures he found: a feather, a pebble, a crayon drawing. He told her stories about a magical, invisible garden, where every sick child planted a flower when they smiled, and when they laughed, it bloomed for real. Slowly, Sophie's color returned. Her oxygen levels improved. The beeping machines quieted, as if hope itself had entered the room. Doctors couldn't explain it, but Richard knew. It wasn't medicine. It was love. A kind of love that expected nothing, asked for nothing, but gave everything. By the end of the week, long after those 3 days were gone, Sophie's condition stabilized. They called it a miracle. Richard called it faith, something he had lost long ago, but a barefoot boy had given back. Before leaving, Noah whispered, "Don't forget to smile. Your garden still needs you." Months passed. Richard adopted Noah, giving him a home, an education, and a family. But Noah never changed, still helping in shelters, still bringing toys to sick kids, still visiting the same hospital where Sophie once lay dying. Years later, Sophie stood strong beside her father and brother at a charity event. When it was her turn to speak, she didn't talk about medicine or money. She held up a small, framed flower, the same wilted flower Noah once gave her. "I kept it alive," she said softly, "for your invisible garden." Tears filled Noah's eyes as Sophie continued. Sometimes miracles don't come from hospitals or wealth. They come from a heart that refuses to give up on hope. If this story touched your soul, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to HOA Chronicles. Because somewhere out there, another Noah might be waiting to remind us that even those who have nothing left to give can still give us everything that matters.